Okay, I'm starting the podcast, am I? Or are you?
All right, we're recording. Um, Hi, welcome to another episode of the Whatever This Is podcast on Russian football. We're back for another week, and it feels good to be back because it's our first podcast of this spring. The football season, the Russian football season, is finally back, and it's going to be a football-heavy episode this week. Lots of discussion, lots of typical talking points. Not much NBA this week. Not much rap this week. Of course, as usual, I'm joined by my co-host Artem. Artem, how's it going? What's up?
Good man. I'm absolutely wrecked, but I'm looking forward to this podcast. And just to start, I'd like to um, basically admit my defeat. I can't. I can no longer.
Oh yeah.
Um, I can no longer go on talking about Pele being a fraud because I lost the poll on Twitter. So I'm conceding my opinion right there. And yeah, everyone can know that Pele is the fourth best footballer of all time. That's as far as I'm going.
Are you gonna pick a new agenda?
I feel like it has to come naturally. I can't just force an agenda, you know.
All right, that's fair. And also this week we are joined by podcast regular. I think he's coming on for his third appearance. RFN podcast regular as well. Richard Pike. Richard, how's it going? What's up? Good to have you on. How you feeling?
Good evening, Hanu. Good evening, Artem. Yes, this appearance number 3 for me right now. So absolute pleasure to be on the podcast again. Thank you very much for inviting me. Things are all good with me. Yeah, over the long winter months, I've been catching up with the non-Russian football, Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, my own team, Wigan Athletic, and one or two other little bits as well. I've been enjoying it. Watched a bit of the cricket. I know you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago on one of your pods, Hanu, and well done to the Indian cricket team for beating Australia because we have a big rivalry with them in cricket as well. So well done to that. And England and India are having a good series at the minute, aren't they? It's 1-1 apiece with 2 games to go. So I've been keeping an eye on that in the mornings. So yeah, all good with me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It was a pleasure seeing that win over Australia. Because of how significant it was, and of course, most of the people we know aren't really big fans of cricket, so explaining that to them was quite the chore. But I think we did a good job. And yeah, the England series is also going pretty well. It's been quite exciting. I'm not usually a fan of Test cricket, but the past 2 series have been quite nice. I think the third game starts tomorrow, which is nice bit of fun to keep an eye on. Hope it's a good series, and even the limited over stuff after that turns out to be good. But getting right into the thick of things here, Artem. Krasnodar are back, aren't they, Artem?
They're back.
They are back, worse than ever, as we knew. We were live on Clubhouse during specifically this Dinamo Zagreb game, where they lost 3-2, defended terribly, somehow managed to score twice. Except for Artem, we were all pretty confident that Krasnodar were going to lose. And it took Artem about 15 minutes to lose his confidence as well. Remy Kabeya had the worst game of his life in a Krasnodar shirt. And after that, they also got knocked out to Sochi in the cup, which we'll get to in a minute. But Artem, what did you think of the game particularly? And the main question is, do you think they can turn it? Do you think they will turn it around in Croatia? Because they need to win by 2 goals.
You know, watching the game, I didn't think Krasnodar were that bad. Like, I thought they had chances. And okay, their defense was a little bit shambolic, but I never thought that they were out of the game. I didn't think it was very one-sided or anything like that. Obviously, coming back from 3-2, 3 away goals is going to be difficult, but they definitely have a chance. But they'll have to score early on if they're going to do it.
All right, so you're not as confident as last week, though, are you?
I mean, how can I be? Like, just any logical person would not be as confident after a 3-2 loss at home than they would be before the tie even started.
Do you think it's time for Musaev to go if they lose?
No. I still believe in him.
You still believe? You don't. Okay, you believe in Pele now at least, but I was going to say that you don't believe in Pele, but believe in Musaev, which
Well,
is
I've been forced to believe in Pele. Sometimes you just got to suck it up. No, I don't know. I still think Musaev is a good manager. Like, the whole conversation we've had this whole like this whole season pretty much while we've been recording the podcast in relation to Musayev, in relation to Semak and a few different managers is if you're going to replace a manager, you've got to replace him with someone better than them. And do I think there's someone out there that's better than them that's going to come to Krasnodar? I just don't see it. Like maybe you two will, suggest someone that I've blatantly missed, but I think Musayev's in a good spot here, and I'd give him till the end of the season. If he manages to get into one of the European competitions, then why would you sack him?
That's fair. I also respect the fact that the name of their third goal scorer is Believe. His middle name is Believe, which is, maybe it's a secret message that he's telling us to believe. But I respect that.
He's telling us to believe, or Dynamo fans?
Everyone. He's just telling everyone to believe. Everyone can believe in what they want. But Richard, what did you think of this game? And similar question goes for you. Do you think Krasnodar can turn it around? Do you think they will turn it around in the second leg?
Regrettably, I don't think Krasnodar will turn it around. I'd love to be an optimist. I'd love to believe, but unfortunately, I just have a feeling that if Dinamo were going to have any chance, if Krasnodar were going to have any chance in this game, they had to take a lead to Zagreb. The Maximia Stadium in Zagreb, where Dinamo play, it's very intimidating, not just in the club game, but also in the international game as well. Croatia have a superb record there, and I just felt that Krasnodar needed to take a lead to Croatia with them, because also Dinamo Zagreb have played, I think, 5 or 6 games domestically, so they're a bit more sharper. The frustrating thing for Krasnodar is they did all the right things. What we discussed on the RFM pod last week, they got goals. They managed to score the 2 goals that they needed. I predicted 2-1 to Krasnodar in the first leg. I thought they might just get a result in the first leg. I didn't believe they'd get through the tie. I thought it might be too much from over 2 legs, but I thought they might win the home leg, and they did the hard work. But it's that usual thing again with Krasnodar, isn't it? Like individual defensive errors just on goals number 2 and goals number 3. I mean, it was just rotten luck, wasn't it? That Matt Safonov, of all the players to lose just before the day of the game, Safonov is the key miss, because then Yevgeny Gorodov has to come in goal. He's just an average RPL goalkeeper. He's second choice at Krasnodar for a reason. And he's guilty for both the goals. The first one, if he just the second goal of Dinamo Zagreb, if he'd have stayed on his line, I think he'd have caught that. And the third goal, you should be getting beaten at the near post. And it wasn't a particularly hard shot hit by the Dinamo substitute who scored. I would love to believe about Krasnodar turning it around, but I just can't. Like Artem said, they're going to have to score very, very early. And then do you really even trust that defence? I think, like what we were saying, I mean, I wasn't in the in your conversation last week. Unfortunately, I don't have an iPhone, but to download the application for it. But I was saying on the RFN chat, if you obviously a number was on the RFN chat, and we were saying that Krasnodar probably do now in the summer really do need to rejig the defence and foreign spots, because I think central defence and centre midfield are definitely key areas for them. So I'd love to have faith and confidence that they turn it around, but I just can't see it. That even if they score, I still think they're going to leak goals.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think I don't particularly remember one of the goals, but I think Gorodov was at fault for all 3. I think he could have kept all 3 of them out if he had done a bit better. And I mean, call it luck, call it whatever you want, but when Krasnodar keep doing this for months, if not years, then I guess it can't be luck anymore, even if it's with injuries or whatever. But if you don't strengthen in time, then you're gonna suffer a bit. And unfortunately, like we've said, they were very passive in the window. They lost Ramirez. They've now signed a guy to replace him, who we'll talk about in a bit in the transfers. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not really too confident either. I think it'll either be a draw or it'll be like a 1-0, 2-0 win to Zagreb. And I think that'll be that for Russian clubs in Europe this season. Moving on to the Cup. Artem, Zenit are out. What are your thoughts?
We're focused on the league.
Are we?
We are, yeah. We went into that game. We said, look, they can have their penalty. They can have their goal from Kirill Panchenko. We're going to focus on the league. That's the same reason we got knocked out in Europe.
Okay. Do you think Do you think Zenit are useless without Azmoun and Malcolm? Well, I mean that's a stupid question because those are their two good, like two of their key attackers. But
Yeah,
do you think we should have done? I mean, we should have done more in the window. But were you disappointed with? Did you expect more from the window, or did you think we were not going to get too much anyway?
I can't say I was expecting too much. Like they're like usually, you know, you start expecting transfers when you start seeing things in the media, and there just wasn't that many things in the media. So I always kind of felt like it wasn't going to be a big window. We weren't going to sign a lot of players. And I'm surprised, like at the total lack of players. I thought we would have signed someone, but um, look, it is what it is. I do think that Asmoon is a big miss. Malcolm, like less so of a miss. Obviously, look, you'd prefer to have him in the squad at least there as an option, but he's not as much of a miss as Asmoon in my opinion. And it's a shame. Like the Zenit did look a little bit toothless in that game, and Arsenal were the better team. They deserve to go through.
Yeah, that's true. It was a really fun round of cup games because we had Zenit, who are the reigning champions, get knocked out. We had Spartak, who are third in the league, get knocked out by Dinamo. They played really well. Tukavin's goal was a madness, so I have to
Oh,
respect that. His first goal at senior level, and it was like a backheel flick. I have to respect that.
I'm
CSK
gonna be
beats.
following his career tight, very like I'm gonna be have him under the microscope because he signed for me in Krasnodar in my save in 2025. Great
Right.
player. So I'm expecting big things.
Is he the next Kokorin then for you?
Nah, I don't think he's gonna make so many stupid mistakes.
I respect that. Um, Lokomotiv beat a very, very new look Tambov, who announced 9 players on the day of this game. Francois Camano scored his first goal in Russia. What a guy. He came out today and said that if he's fit, he can get 10, 12, 15 goals a season. He only has one so far, which came after about 20 games. So, I mean, credit to him. Pablo scored a wonderful header. But Artem and Richard, I'll ask you this as well. I don't know if you've seen the Tambov team, Artem. How many wins do you think they'll get in the league with 11 games left to go?
Do they have any like apart from Morocco this weekend? Do they have any like what you'd call like one of the easier games?
They have Rotor, they have Arsenal, Tula, Khimki. It's a pretty tough run.
You know what? I'm gonna say this is gonna be ridiculously outrageous, right? But I'm gonna say that they're gonna have one win, and it's gonna come on the 25th of April against Lokomotiv. They're gonna get their revenge.
I can see them winning 2 games. I think one will be maybe against Rotor just because it's the fairy tale, and then will be like this super shock win against some big club, like a final day win against Zenit or something. It'll be like that. Um, but Richard, what did you think of this round of the cup? And similar Tambov question: how many wins do you think they're going to get this season?
I'm not going to be as optimistic as Artyom. I'm actually going to say one win. Who it's going to be against, I have absolutely no idea. Maybe the best win is probably against Rotor in that first game back, because I was actually looking the other day. Rotor have scored just 9 goals in 21 games. I mean, even by RPL standards, that's just a complete eyesore, isn't it, in attack? It really is just shocking how few goals that they've scored. So I'm going to go, if they are going to win a game, and I think they probably will win one, I think I'm going to go with that Rotor game. I think, maybe they could surprise them. But yeah, that fixture running looks absolutely horrific. I really don't hold much confidence for them. And they're having this patched up squad, which I've got to say, Tom Tomsk all those years ago can feel pretty aggrieved. The league didn't help them out in the same way that they've helped Tambov out with all the loan players. Tom had to play the kids, but c'est la vie. But yeah, I don't see. I think the only chance of a win is the Rotor game. I think first up. As for the Russian Cup, yeah, it was a very interesting weekend. I think the cup's really, really, really wide open. After those weekend results, because two of the favourites, two of the 3 sides you'd have expected to have been favourites, Spartak and Zenit, are both gone. So you have to say no, CSKA are probably now the new favourites, but the rest of it's wide open. Sochi could be a dangerous dark horse, Akhmat could be a dangerous dark horse. Ural, of course, they've got some cup pedigree over the years. Dinamo haven't won a trophy in 26 years. They're looking pretty much better now on the Sandro Schwartz than what they were at the start of the season. So yeah, I'd have to say it's wide open behind CSKA, but I think you probably have to make CSKA the favourites now. But I kind of still do want a big team to win it because, as we all know, we keep going on about it on every podcast, whether it's RFM, whether it's whatever this is, whatever podcast on Russian football, we keep going on about it. We need coefficient points badly. So as much as the British Nasimi wants an underdog to do well, like we always do in the UK, I kind of want one of the favourites to win the Russian Cup because the RPL badly needs the coefficient points. But it's definitely a wide open competition, that's for sure.
I disagree with you, actually, to be honest, Richard. I hope one of the underdogs win because my thinking is they can't do any worse than what clubs have done already. I don't think that having one of the top teams winning it will change that much, really. The only team that might be the case for, I think, is Dinamo. If they don't get top 5 in the league, but look, I'm actually not fussed if Lokomotiv don't get Europe because they just haven't been great. CSKA are going to get it anyway.
It's a good point. To be fair, yeah.
So the only teams that are left now, realistically, are Dinamo, Loko, Sochi. CSKA have already booked their place in Europe, I would think.
Who's your favorite to win it, Artem, and who do you want to win it?
Joking aside, I think Dinamo have the best chance. I think that they might focus on the cup even. They're in a good position in the league anyway, but I just think that they'll look at the teams that are left in the cup and say, look, this is here for the taking. A chance for Schwartz to get some silverware and Dinamo to win. I don't know the last time they won a trophy, so maybe
19. Sorry, Artem. 1995 Russian Cup was the last trophy Dinamo won.
Well, there you go. So that could be absolutely huge for them. So I'd imagine that they'd be going for it. Who do I want to win? Krylia Sovetov, of course. Imagine coming up into the RPL, having that massive boost of money that's coming in as well. If they somehow manage to win the cup, not only have they secured their place in Europe, but they've also secured their place, I would think, from relegation next season because they'll be able to attract better players that have a little bit more money to spend and
Yeah, the way Krylia Sovetov just dispatched Khimki, it makes me feel like their current squad would be comfortable in the RPL. They would finish 10th or 11th or something. I think they're that good.
I hope so. They do have a good squad. They have a few very good players. The only thing I'd be afraid of is, which is sometimes the case with Krylia, is it'll get to halfway through next season and they'll be 10th or 11th, and then half their players will leave. What got them relegated the last time was Sobolev leaving.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was purely that. He was having the season of his life down there, and of course it makes sense for Spartak to buy, and the money was there for Krylia, so it makes sense for them to sell. But they never replaced him, and it's always difficult to replace a key player like that when you're in the relegation battle, because where are you going to find someone like that? So I just hope that the team can stay together. I think that Zinkovsky has a chance of leaving. There's a few other players who have a chance of leaving. Sergeyev has been amazing. He may leave as well.
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. The thing is that I think that if they somehow win the cup and get to Europe, I would imagine all those players would stay at least for half a season.
Will they? I mean, I hope they don't. I hope they at least apply for the European license, because then that would be really irritating to see them win the cup and then they don't apply, like what happened with Tosno and Avangard Kursk.
What would be the reason? What would be the reason for Krylia not to apply for?
Well, maybe because that's what happened with Tosno. They just didn't think that they could do it, so they didn't even bother applying for a European license.
But you're talking about Tosno was a club that existed for a grand span of less than a decade.
Yeah, I don't, 3 years. I think it was founded in 2016. I think something
That's the
like
thing.
that.
So yeah, I was gonna say less than 5 years, but I didn't want to. I wanted to be sure. Yeah, like there you go. Like they were just never gonna have the finances. Like they didn't really have that many fans, and it was just it wasn't the same. Like I feel like Korea already have the World Cup stadium there. They could play at their own stadium. I
Yes.
feel like Samara is known as a footballing city, so I can only imagine that if they manage to get to Europe, by some means they would find the money. They'd find whatever they needed to get in there. Like they've played in Europe before, only 10, 15. Was it 15 years ago? Maybe less than 15 years ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also agree with you. I would like to see a more, what do you call it? I guess a dark horse or a more unlikely team to win the cup because it would. My favorites are, by the way, Akhmat Grozny. I'm rooting for Akhmat Grozny. Um, we played really well against Rostov. Our squad was weak. I mean, not weaker than
We
what they had. Uh,
we
Akhmat, okay, fine, my bad. It was only a penalty that saw Akhmat through, but like they were down to 10 men. They defended very well. Rostov got like debuts for Ali Sao and a few others, and they just couldn't break Akhmat down, which I respect. And you know what? Just like even if Krylia win, even if Sochi win, just any of these teams, even if Arsenal Tula win, it would just be reminiscent of that early 2010s era where you had the most off-brand teams playing in Europe. You had what Novosibirsk
Sibir,
was there.
yes.
Yeah, Kuban Krasnodar made it one season. Even Ufa and Arsenal Tula a couple of years ago, that was pretty fun. And like you said, Art, Ufa almost made it to the Europa League. They lost out in the playoffs narrowly, which you have to respect. So I hope it's someone like that over maybe a Krasnodar who will just continue to disappoint us. So yeah, I hope they win. But moving back to the Premier League because it is finally
hang
back.
on. I don't think we asked Richard, did we?
I think we did, didn't he? Richard, your favorite you said was who was your favorite?
Siskar was my favourite, but I'd quite like Dinamo to win. But I'd also echo what Artyom said. I wouldn't mind seeing Krylia win. It would be nice. It would be a nice underdog story. And actually, I've just had a little think about it. Actually, I read that the cup winners go straight to the Europa League group stage. And I think next
Oh,
season, because you've got the Conference League in, you've also got, if you finish third in your Europa League group stage, you drop into the conference stage knockouts. So
right.
if you, yes, so you've got still got a better chance of still being in Europe after Christmas. And yeah, so that might work to a first-sized RPL club's advantage. And like you said, if Quillia did manage to get promoted and win the cup, they get Europe. They'd attract good players. Obviously, they'd have more foreign spots available than what they do in the FNAL. And also, it could work for something like that. Could work quite well for Dinamo if they were to finish third in the Europa League group. They drop into the Conference League. The quality of the opponents that they play there is lower. So yeah, my favourites are Siskar, but I also think Dinamo is the side I want to win. But I'm open to Quillia, getting through and having either a good run in the cup or possibly winning it. So, but yeah, not Lokomotiv again. They've won the cup too many times. Sorry, Ilya.
They have won it too many times, and they're just a very bland club at the moment. I wouldn't want to see them winning it again. Um, the RPL is back this week, and we have a lot of interesting games. It's a great week to start off. You've got Tambov Rotor, Clash of the Titans, Zenit Rostov is always a fun game. Lokomotiv CSK, it's a derby. Akhmat Dina. It's just a very good week of Russian football. And Artem, will you be able to watch any of these games? Which one of these ties looks the most exciting to you? And what are
Oh,
your thoughts?
Tambov Rotor looks the best. Definitely.
I'm really excited to see how it goes. I hope it
It's
ends
the
4-4.
it's the perfect time as well. 4 o'clock of a Friday.
It
Um,
really, yeah, it's
no, I'm hoping to get a couple of games in, or like I'll watch the highlights at least for sure. This game week is, like you said, really good. Like every single matchup, I think is up in the air. Like I don't think there's many games
yeah.
where you could actually call a winner. So, it is going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Richard, what about you? Is there any one particular game you're looking forward to out of these? See any shocks on the cards? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I could see Zenit Rostov is really leaping out at me. Maybe Spartak Rubin as well, because Rubin, obviously, they didn't have the cup game, but they've obviously got a good manager on the Slutsky. Spartak. It's interesting to see how Spartak go with the rest of this season now, because obviously we all know that Tedesco's leaving. So will it galvanise the players to really, go for a title, which I still think's on, by the way, or will it be a bit of a procession to the end of the season? Because I think Spartak did sort of miss an opportunity against Dinamo. I think the cup was there for them to take, and they failed to take advantage of it, even though it was a tough draw against Dinamo away. So Spartak Rubin, but Zenit Rostov, and I still think we have a title race, even though Zenit are 4 clear of CSKA and 6 clear of Spartak. That game against Arsenal Tula really showed that when Zenit have 4 or 5 of their key players out injured or unavailable, the depth of their squad is not quite as good as what many thought it would be. Because I looked at the stats for the game. I think Arsenal Tula had more shots. And Rostov have had a good winter window. Yeah, disappointing exit in the cup. They'll feel that was an opportunity missed against Atmat at home. But they've got Ali So, they've got Roman Tugarev, who impressed initially on loan at the end of before the winter break, and he's signed permanently now. So Rostov will be fancying their chances there. So they're the 2 games that really jump out at me. Although you can make a case for Loco CSKA as well. But I'm also fascinated by that Tambov-Rostov game. Tambov-Rostov game. If Rostov cannot get their goals up against Tambov, who are just deep in the mire at the minute, then geez, how on earth they're going to stay up if they can't score against that Tambov defence? So it will be fun to have a laugh if they can't laugh at their expense if they can't score. But yeah, those 3 games: Zenit Rostov, Spartak Rubin, and Loco CSKA, my 3 games of the week.
That's right. Yeah, it is a really nice week, and it'll be fun to keep track of all of those. It's a good bit of scheduling to have, these games right as we're coming back. Lots of entertaining matchups over there. We do have a bit of transfer news for you guys. Not much. It's only rumors. Some of it is only rumors. Some of it is, some of it is hearsay. Some of it are actual transfers. Mainly though, Austin Urunov is back at Ufa. I hope he does well. I think that's going to be a really interesting transfer for them. I think it would help them stay up. Krasnodar signed Ambroise Oyongo from Montpellier. I've never heard of the guy, but he's meant to cover for Christian Ramirez, which I hope he does well. It's still too little too late from Krasnodar, but it's better than nothing, I guess. And Roman Eremenko has left Rostov, and this sort of made me sad. It was announced earlier today. And he's had. That's what I want to actually ask you, Artem. Do you think Roman Eremenko's career? Do you think Roman Eremenko will go down as a flop or as one of those players who could have been or what could have been player, or do you think he achieved a fair bit in his career? And what do you? Because he's clearly very talented. He was great at Rostov, great at CSKA. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think of Roman Eremenko's career?
For his form at CSKA, he's one of the best players in Russian football history. For me, like he was insane. Like there was these crazy goals he'd score. He was a perfect attacking midfielder. Like genuinely, he was a joy to watch, and he was one of my favorite players from CSKA back 5 or 6 years ago. Before his ban. It's a shame to see him leave the league. I think that he could have done a job for a lot of different teams. Like even if he wanted to leave Rostov, he probably could have still done it for top 6 side, I'd say. So look, I don't have much more to say about that. Like it is a massive shame. I hope that if it is personal reasons, then I hope that everything is okay with him.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair, and I do think I do feel bad for the guy. I mean, he came back from his ban. He was held in, he had high spirits. He did well. His stats at Rostov weren't bad at all, but now he's left. I hope he does come back. He does stay in football. Hopefully, it's just something, short term.
Can I say one last thing about him?
Yeah,
It was, for me, it was one of the worst things that's happened to Russian football that he didn't choose to play for Russia.
I agree with that because he does have natural. He was born in Moscow, wasn't he? Yeah, no.
Yeah,
You're right. Imagine him, man. That's actually crazy. I didn't even think of that.
When he was at CSK, I thought of it constantly because I was like, why would he choose Finland? He would have been the best Russian player. Like, if he wanted to be the best somewhere, he could have done it in this country, not in not in Finland. But I don't know. Obviously, people choose different countries for different reasons. Maybe he does feel Finnish and not Russian, but I'll never get over it.
Well, that is pretty sad. In some lighter transfer news, Sardar Azmoun could be heading to Sevilla. Some people, Spanish media reported that, and I think it could be a pretty nice move for him. Actually, we don't know how. By the way, Krasnodar are going to sign the Turkish league top scorer for 8 million euros. I think this is a great deal for them. Will happen at the end of the season. So, good luck to him. Good luck to Krasnodar. But Richard, I want to come to you. What do you think of Azmoun heading to Sevilla potentially? Um, what do you think of their chances in the league? What do you think? Yeah, what do you think of the move overall?
I think this could be a really smart move. As I've mentioned, as my tweet there has just come at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, one of Youssef En-Nesyri or Luke de Jong will probably be leaving Sevilla in the summer, based on what I've heard. I know that West Ham were reportedly interested in En-Nesyri in the January transfer window, but Sevilla turned down any offers. They still have an outside chance of the title in La Liga, and they're doing well in the Spanish Cup, even though they lost to Dortmund in the Champions League. They kind of caught Haaland on a bad night. But I think this could be a very good move for Azmoun. One of those two strikers is going to go, and I think Sevilla, will obviously want a replacement. And I think with Azmoun only having 1 year left on his contract, which expires in 2022, I think Zenit will probably have to sell him. And I think, to be fair to Azmoun, he's earned the right to seek a move away from Russian football now. He's had seven fantastic years, both at Rubin and at Rubin Rostov and Zenit. And at 26 now, I can't really blame him for wanting to go and play in one of the top 5 leagues, because a career's short. He could be, anything could happen in the next few years. He could be injured. You just don't know what's around the corner. So any chance you get to play in a top 5 league, you have to take. And at 26 now, football's becoming a younger man's game. They're looking for younger players all the time, the top clubs. So you don't want to leave it too late. So yeah, I think this could potentially be a very good move for him. Sevilla sometimes do play crosses into the box, so we all know Azmoun is good in the air. He's also good with the ball with his feet. You can slide balls through to him. Chance to play alongside Papu Gomez, who's now at Sevilla. Yeah, I think this is quite an exciting move, and be interesting to see how they use him. If Luke de Jong is the one who leaves, I suspect it'll be an interesting fight for who starts in the first team between him and En-Nesyri. If Sevilla do end up selling Youssef En-Nesyri, I think Azmoun will go straight in there ahead of. He's definitely a better player than Luke de Jong. He'll go straight into the starting lineup ahead of de Jong, I think. So yes, I think this could be a very good move either way for Azmoun, and I wish him well. If it gets Zenit a nice fee, which they can then use to refresh their attack, then it's a good move for all parties. So obviously I can watch the league on my laptop. I've got Premier Sports in England, so I'll be keeping track of his progress for everybody at RFN. So double delight.
Yeah, no, I think it would be a good move for him as well. We saw Quincy Promes go to Sevilla. It didn't really work out too well for him. But before that, we saw Alexander Korzakov go to Sevilla. And how was he? Artem, how was he at Sevilla? Do you remember? Korzakov?
Yeah, he was really highly rated. He played well for them.
Okay, I respect that. And
he played sorry, Hanu, to come in there. I think he played quite well for them. I just think the competition for strikers at Sevilla was very, very fierce back then, and I think that is the only reason he returned to Russia from Sevilla, because I think he was just struggling to get games. But like Artem said, when he did play, he did do quite well. But I think back then Sevilla had Canute. I think they were about to sign Luis Fabiano too, so they had some good strikers back then, Sevilla, and I think it was just simply a case of too much competition for strikers. But generally, yes, I agree with Artem. When he played, I watched Spanish football back then, even back then, and when he played, he did generally do quite well, just a little bit unlucky.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. I don't have much to add on to that. Speaking of promise, by the way, Artem, keep an eye out, guys, on the RFN Twitter because we have some really special promise Spartak related content coming up this week. Won't tell you too much more. Artem, do you think the move is actually going to happen?
I think it's going to happen less and less as every day goes by. It just feels like it's stalled. And, at the end of the day, it might come down to deadline day, and Spartak are like, okay, fuck this, we're sick of bluffing, let's just pay whatever they want and take them. I hope that's the case, but, they may well just decide, like, no, this isn't a good price for us, and leave it be. But I really hope he comes back, like, more than anything, really.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I also lose hope with every passing minute because like the negotiations have stalled. There was just one news piece yesterday which was talking about how they've agreed on a fee. Promise keeps teasing fans on social media, so I do hope he ends up joining because I'm convinced that he's going to be very, very good. He could help them challenge, even win the title. Actually, there's no more challenging. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited to see him back. Apart from that, we don't really have met much transfer news, a lot of transfer news. But Artem, you wanted to get into a city debate about Russia, a Moscow and St. Petersburg debate. Could you segue us into that? Because I believe Richard's also been to Russia, so he could also give his insight on that. But how did that come about?
Okay, so I don't know if you saw the tweet. There was a tweet going around yesterday. A good few people actually in Russian football retweeted or quote tweeted, talked about it, and it was basically like, what, which city do you hate the most in Russia, and why is it St. Petersburg? All right, obviously by someone in Moscow. For Russian people, they'll know that there's a big rivalry between the two cities, the two capitals. Um, and for anyone who doesn't know, well, now you know. Basically, there's a rivalry in every single like aspect of St. Petersburg against Moscow life. I think all three of us have been to both cities. Either of you might correct me if I'm wrong on that. So I just
No, I've
thought we
been
might.
to
Yeah, perfect. So we've all been to both then. So I'm just thinking, let's discuss which city is better.
Yeah, Richard, you
I
go first.
really, really like St. Petersburg when I went. I really, really liked St. Petersburg when I went. Moscow had, the odd bits which were absolutely fabulous, like the Kremlin and a few other bits like Gorky Park, everything like that. But in St. Petersburg, pretty much everywhere where you turn, there's something fabulous, like the Hermitage, the Admiralty, the bridges, the everything. It was just in splashes everywhere. St. Petersburg was really, really beautiful, and so yeah, I would probably choose St. Petersburg of the two cities.
And
Artem, what do you think? Actually,
okay,
yeah.
okay. So I'm gonna put it out a couple of ways, right? I love St. Petersburg and I love Moscow. They're both amazing cities, and like I'd go as far as saying as they're two of the top five cities in Europe, no
But
debate
Dublin wins.
whatsoever. What?
But Dublin wins. Sorry,
Nah,
St. Petersburg and Moscow.
Dublin's at least last. Anyway, anyway, I love both cities. I've been multiple times to both. Like St. Petersburg, obviously, I love, especially being able to go see my favorite clubs and things like that. But like Richard says, everywhere you go, there's something beautiful. But I feel that same way about Moscow. Like I feel like in Moscow, everything's just like right there, and you can get the metro from anywhere in Moscow to anywhere else so quickly. And like I don't know, for me, if I'm just gonna have to give a straight answer, I'm gonna say Moscow. Like if I was to live in one of those cities, I'd say Moscow. If I was to do a visit for like 4 or 5 days, it'd be very close because both have like an insane amount of things to do each. So I'm just gonna put it that way. I'm gonna say I edge towards Moscow.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree absolutely with everything you said. I feel like both of those cities are absolutely wonderful. Easily two of the best cities I've visited. If I like, they're better than any other city I've lived in. I would, take a chance and live anywhere. But I feel like at the end of the day, it comes down to a personal decision, and I'm not mad at anyone who says St. Petersburg, like you, Artem, like you, Richard. But I would personally also choose Moscow because I feel like um, though St. Petersburg is it's like it's there's a difference in the vibes and the difference in the I want to say culture, but the difference in everything really, the architecture, the styles of and like St. Petersburg is sort of slower as a city in a good way. It's like calmer. It's very beautiful. It's very artsy. It's like one big museum, whereas Moscow is like this huge melting pot where there's people from all around the place. It's like a faster city, that energy argument people bring up, and I just prefer Moscow simply due to that. Because I was born in and every city I've lived in has had that similar vibe. So to Moscow, and I personally would live there and prefer that. But again, I'm not mad at anyone who picks St. Petersburg. Now, Artem, I want to ask you: do Russians actually have this profound hate for St. Petersburg, or is it just banter? Because even in India we have the same fight, but it's between Mumbai and Delhi, and I feel like even in the US people argue LA versus New York all the time. So do you feel like actual people really don't like St. Petersburg, or do you think it's just more of that banter?
I don't think it's that deep. I think everyone in Russia outside of Moscow hates Moscow, and I think Moscow have to have someone to hate as well, so they hate St. Petersburg. That's just how it is. But like in general, I don't think anyone actually feels that way. Like I don't think anyone's like to the point where, oh no, I hate that city. I'm never going there. Like I'll never visit or anything like that. I think it's more of a joke, or like maybe those people wouldn't live in that other city, but they can respect it and things like that. I don't think it's that deep.
All right, would you rather live in Khabarovsk or Makachkala?
Khabarovsk, definitely.
Richard, would you rather live in Grozny or Kaliningrad?
Um, Kaliningrad.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, like Hannah, you gave two options there that were a bit like Kaliningrad's really nice. Like it's got its German architecture. Like
Germanic, yeah.
it's pretty much a German city that's just taken over by Russia. Like it's really nice. It's got a high standard of living, and you're right beside Poland. You're right beside all of Europe. So like you're much closer to
Easy
you know
holidays.
the yeah, exactly. You're much closer to holidays than you would be if you were in Grozny. Um, and then the reason I chose Khabarovsk is just like if I was choosing, like I feel like the lifestyle in Maheshkala just wouldn't suit me as much as like I'm not saying the lifestyle in Khabarovsk would, but like it'd be kind of cool, you know, being able to go to China for
Yeah,
shopping
no.
or something like that. And
No, I mean, it is actually a big, like Khabarovsk and Vladivostok, I really do rate both of those cities because you're still in Russia, so you have all the perks of living in Russia, but you're also extremely close to Japan and China and Korea and all of those. So
yeah,
like,
Yes.
and Asia as a whole. So it's a lot easier. So I do like both of those cities a lot. I do want to visit them
I
someday.
mean, to expand on the Peter and Moscow debate, perhaps you probably could argue St. Petersburg is more of a European city, whereas Moscow is more of a Russian city. I think that's a fair observation because it's sort of like Venetian-like in architecture, St. Petersburg, whereas when you go to Moscow, it's very, very clearly a Slavic Russian architecture. More
It's
that's what I.
very, yeah, comparatively, St. Petersburg is like a lot more. I don't even know. I mean, you put it really well, actually, Richard. But it's because Moscow served as the capital of not only Russia, the Soviet Union, and even before that. So it had lots of elements of industrial. I mean, lots of industrial elements to it, lots of diplomatic,
Yes.
bureaucratic elements to it, lots of. Now it's a business center, so there's lots of skyscrapers and stuff. So it's just a combination of a variety of different architectural styles. A combination of a lot of different lifestyles, people from all over the world, whereas St. Petersburg is a lot more laid back. It
Yeah.
has so I mean, yeah, it's just a question of what the individual likes more. But that's a really good point you make. Both cities are
you know
beautiful, and yeah, go on, Adam.
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know what's another massive point for me though. Like this is like this will always drag me back towards thinking St. Petersburg. Like I'm not changing my answer here, but the history of St. Petersburg, in my opinion, is so much better than the history of Moscow. Like, Peter the Great basically setting up the city from scratch after coming back from Europe and saying, okay, right, but we need to be like near some kind of sea. We need to have like a waterfront. And he brought in architects from all over Europe because he was like, Holland, really liked my trip there. Italy,
Yeah.
pretty cool place. And just brought people from all over and set up a city from scratch. And like that's why St. Petersburg architecture is so European. That's what I guess that's even why it is more laid back. It's more like it is culturally European. Like St. Petersburg, like if you drop someone in St. Petersburg and you told them like, oh, is this Europe or Asia? Not one person would say Asia. Like this is the most European city out there.
Yeah, European cities, from what I've seen, tend to be a lot more laid back, regardless of what part of, especially in like a lot of German cities, a lot of French cities, even some English cities, except for of course the capitals which have just become extremely large. This is Holland, Belgium, places in these countries. They all have that similar vibe as to what St. Petersburg has, whereas Moscow is just a product of even though, what I like Moscow is, for St. Petersburg, of course, the history surviving the siege of Leningrad is another massive point from the historical thing, like the fact that the city actually managed to get out of that and rebuilt itself, survived a lot of that is pretty big. But yeah, I mean, it's a good debate. It honestly is a really good debate.
I think possibly as well. I think it might have been the first ever planned city in the entire world, St. Petersburg. Obviously, Washington was the late 1700s, and then after that you had Ottawa, you had Canberra, you had Brasilia. But yeah, I think
I
it
don't
might
think
be the
so. I
first
think
ever planned
if
city.
for that you would have to define what a city is, because I think planned cities. I think
Yeah, good point.
Constantinople was made from, could be considered planned. I mean, if you want to talk about planned cities, back in the Indus Valley civilization in India, you had like planned housing layouts and stuff. So you could go as far
Yeah,
back as
I
that.
also would think the Romans and the Greeks would have something to say about that, to be honest. But
Let's
Yes.
search it. Let's search it up. Actually, you know what? Let's search it up. Hey, no, that's India. My bad. That is India.
List of
But that
planned
was
cities.
world's first planned city. What was that? Yeah, see, 4,500-year-old in
Oh,
Karachi.
right. We're well off then.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Indus Valley
just the
civilization.
6,000 years, Richard.
Just 6,000. Just 6,000 years.
But no, I'm sure a lot of these places were.
There's no way Ireland's on that list. We don't plan anything.
Yeah, look at this. These guys were building planned cities in 13th century BC. They were the Egyptians were on some different shit, man. Building pyramids, building huge sphinxes in the middle of the desert. Ireland. Let's have a look at how much of India is planned. Where's Ireland? No, Adamstown and Shannontown are planned.
Oh my god! If you only knew what those two places were, fuck's sake.
What are they?
Adamstown is considered one of the worst developments in the whole country. They basically just slapped a load of housing down and didn't give any amenities whatsoever. There's no parks, there's no bus routes, nothing. It's just literally just planned housing. I can't believe that's our one.
Yeah, but I wonder if we can find an actual. We'll find off air or something. Oh yeah, shout out Nur Sultan, Kazakhstan, which is the Astana as it was previously called, and I like the name Astana more. It's the world's youngest capital city. It was built in 1997. And
Fake capital.
What?
Fake. I have an agenda against Nur Sultan.
Why do you have an agenda against Nur Sultan? What's wrong with you?
Because Almaty is the real capital.
I'll go away. You're a history merchant.
No way, Almaty is way better.
Have you seen Astana's architecture though? I want to visit there so bad.
I'd love to go to Astana.
It's absolutely, they just built random ass buildings and look at that. What is this?
Yeah,
what is all of this?
Yeah, it looks nice, but Almaty looks even better. It's got the mountains surrounding it completely.
That's
a
big thing. That's where Almaty gets the points, because I went Tehran in Iran is
look at it. It's beautiful.
Nice.
Tehran in Iran is also similar, and Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek, which is the capital of Kyrgyzstan, is also outside, like your hotel room. You just see mad mountains. So I seriously respect that.
It's
one
absolutely
place,
sick.
one place
I recommend going.
One place where the architecture is really unique is Sarajevo. I actually went in 2016, and you can still see bits of Yugoslav architecture there. You can still see bits of Ottoman architecture, Austro-Hungarian. It's quite nice. I like Sarajevo. Nice city.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no,
You
it
didn't
is.
like. Oh, you know what? It's so weird. You wouldn't think architecture would have such a like. I don't know, such a like bearing on your holiday, but it does.
It does.
Like every time you
No,
go somewhere, it's just like it's just the vibe. It's like almost like these buildings have souls, and they're like they're making you react a certain way.
they do.
Inner
I feel
Bosnia,
like they do.
Inner Bosnia is really, really beautiful too. Like on the route from Sarajevo to Mostar, the next biggest city in Bosnia. It's literally there's long winding roads, and all you see is green valleys and clear blue lakes. It's really, really beautiful. And I went a trip all over the Balkans in 2016 actually, and it's funny because you get that in Bosnia, these lakes and hills and everything like that, and then you're driving through Serbia from Belgrade to go to Sarajevo, and all you see is just flat land. It was such a contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah, both. Yeah,
No,
Sarajevo was
I
Bosnia.
do feel like I'm a massive architecture geek by the way. Not like I don't know as much as like professional architecture people obviously, but I have a few. If I knew how to
I
draw,
feel like I feel like you didn't have to say that disclaimer. I feel like the people would have just known.
no, because some people then start calling you out or give me the characteristics of Greco-Roman architecture, and I'm like, fam, I mean, no, I don't really know too much. But then, of course, I don't know as much as any professional in any field. But I'm absolutely terrible at drawing things. But if I knew how to draw, I feel like I would become an architect or something. But for now, we're gonna settle with Russian football podcasts.
I feel like architecture is less about drawing and more about you know, just kind of I don't know how to describe it. It's more about maths, I feel, than anything.
Yeah, but you have to draw in the end, don't you?
Well,
I
the
mean,
thing is, it's
that's
all
very
done on like
restricted.
it's all done on like softwares on computers and stuff like that now. So like it's not like you have to be a great artist. You have to do freehand drawings or anything. It's mostly like if you're drawing on paper, it's going to be rulers and everything else. It's just calculations mainly.
I'm terrible at maths as well, by the way.
Yeah, but like school maths or real maths.
No, school math. I'm fairly good at real math.
Well, like school math doesn't matter. So
All right,
really, like
I might sign up for a couple of architecture classes in Artem. You're motivating me to follow my dreams over here.
yeah, architecture. You know what you should do, Hanu? You should make a new city in India and bring all the coolest architecture styles, and then in 300 years, someone who's doing a podcast about Indian football will talk about the architecture in Hanu city, Hanugrad.
I know, Grant, that is funny.
God.
But no, but you know what the thing you say about buildings being living things, and I'm sorry for this travel breakdown that we've started to have. We have one more segment left, but we hope you guys are enjoying this. Let us know where you live. Let us know architectural styles you like. Let us know your favorite holiday destination. But Artem,
I
I
like
do
that one. I like that. So I like that one. Those two pictures there. There's the old mosque in the things in Sarajevo Mosque. There's the old mosque in the city
yeah.
centre, and then beside that Sarajevo itinerary. That's like I think an aqueduct or a water fountain. Yeah, I remember seeing both of
Mhm.
those when I was there. It's nice.
It's always nice to see this juxtaposition of cultures. The Balkans, especially, because there's heavy Muslim influence, Albania, and yeah, Albania is Kosovo, especially. They're, I believe, predominantly Muslim countries. I may be wrong. I know Albania. I don't know about Kosovo, but I do feel like
Bosnia
building.
is too. Bosnia too. I think.
Is it all right? Fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bosnia.
Bosnia is the only Muslim country in Europe, I think.
Right. Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair. But I
Anyway,
do feel like, yeah, Artem, that buildings and cities have this sort of living aspect to them because certain places you can just feel like they're not as authentic, whereas places like St. Petersburg, Moscow, you just feel this sense of authenticity and this sense of history, which is always really cool. It's indescribable, but I don't know if
I don't know whether you've seen this. Just one last thing on architecture. I don't know if you've seen this, but if you Google Mostar Bridge, then Mostar Bridge, yeah, that's it. It's fantastic. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that looks beautiful.
That's Nice. That was rebuilt actually in the Ottoman style after the war. It was rebuilt recently, and I went over that bridge when I went to Mostar. It's really nice. It's a really nice bridge.
No, fair. That's fair. But off of our geography, travel, architecture conversation, I did
You know what we
ask
should
me.
do one of these days, Hanu?
Go on.
One of our podcasts should be just a game of geoguessing.
Oh, I'd beat you on that.
Oh, no, you wouldn't.
I'd win at that. Like, if you like,
You are on. You are on. If you want to
Okay.
watch me and Hanu play a game of GeoGuessr against each other while doing the podcast,
exactly playing
just
Geoguessr.
drop
If you want to
a
do
like.
if you want to do a competition of naming world flags, naming world capitals, naming countries in the world, all of that, I'll take you
I'm
on.
up for capitals. I'm up for capitals.
Okay, all right, it's on then. It's on. We will. I don't know if we'll stream it, if we'll record it, but you guys are genuinely on. We will have to figure out how to get GeoGuessr because they've really messed it up now, where it's like you can only pay one round, and then it asks you to
That's
sign up or pay or something. But we'll figure out.
Yeah.
We'll figure out a way.
How much is it?
I don't know. I'm not going to pay for
Just
GeoGuessr.
check it. Look, this podcast already like. If anyone who's listening an hour in, they'll understand.
$2.99 per month. It's not too much, but
To be fair, there's a 10-day trial period.
all right, then we'll set it up. We'll set up the capital one. We'll set up a flag one if anyone wants. Any of our listeners, I'm challenging you to a flag duel, a capital duel, a naming country duel, a GeoGuessr duel. Any of that, I'm up for it. But yeah, I didn't ask me anything from the RFN account today, and then my own people started bullying me for a few of my takes. So I'm going to flip it on you guys. We're going to do a rapid fire round where I'm going to ask you guys, both of you guys, questions, and I'm going to see what you guys answer with just for the bands. There's not too many questions. We're not going to go through all of them, obviously, but we will go through a fair bit of them. Artem, who's better, Victor Claesson or Jordan Larsson?
Oh, this season, Larsson. Like, if it's on recent form, then Larsson. Ever Claesson, but I'd be inclined to go Larsson just purely because of since his injury, Claesson hasn't been the same player.
Do you think so, though? Because he has just one less goal and the same amount of assists. He has 7 goals this season, Claesson somehow.
That's wild. I didn't actually
assists,
know that, but
and 4 assists.
I don't know. It just feels like I feel like Larsson has had bigger impact this season. Even though, like, logically, it seems Claesson actually has a shout in there, but I don't know. For me, this season is Larsson.
All right.
What about you?
I'm saying Claesson, obviously. Richard, quickly, what do you think? Claesson or Larsson?
I think this season Larsson, but I'm still probably just inclined overall to side with Claesson, though it is very close.
All right, that's fair. Right, what else do we have? Artem, who are the top 3 centre backs in the league?
Jesus.
See how hard it is?
I can get on board with Jigo, for sure. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to say Evgeniev is in there.
Right.
Like, and like, okay, he's kind of popped up out of nowhere the last couple of years, but I don't think that has any bearing on my decision there. I think Evgeniev is in there. I'm not sure if I agree with Diveev. He's been fantastic, but I don't know. I can just see him maybe making some mistakes. I love Jikia, so I'm just going to say Jikia.
All right. Richard, what about you? Who are your top 3 centre backs? Quickly.
Diveev, I like. I also like Zigo and a bit of Dynamo bias because I followed him for the site. Maybe Evgeniev. I really like him.
All right. Fair enough. So we're all so far on the same track. Right. What else do we have? Goalkeeper debate. We've had the goalkeeper debate a lot, and Artem called me out on this one. So Artem, who is the best goalkeeper in the league? I want you to name one because it's extremely hard.
The best goalkeeper in the league.
Yes.
Akinfeev, but like
it doesn't really count.
I thought that one was obvious.
Yeah. So
I think that guy who mentions I think that guy who mentions Shonin has got a good shout as well.
There's so many good shouts though.
There are so many good shouts, but I can't believe you picked Dupin. Like Bilyanov, I get, but like he's always like top 5. But I don't know about top three.
I don't know. I like Dupin. Richard, what about you? Who do you think is the best goalkeeper in the league, and what do you think of Dupin over Safonov?
No, I've got to have Safonov over Dupin. Dupin's a decent goalkeeper, but no, I've got to have Safonov over him. I'd probably still edge just towards Akinfeev's best goalkeeper in the league, but I think Safonov is pushing him close now. I think so, but I'm just still going to edge towards Akinfeev. Maybe next year it will probably be Safonov.
All right, that's fair. The final one we have, no one really debated this, but still, Artem, who will come up from the FNL this season overall?
I agree with you entirely. Nizhny look like they're kind of, set to go up either as first or second. Probably, most likely, 99% they're going to go first. And I just feel like Krylia will come ahead of Orenburg. Torpedo, they're in there, but I can't see them going up directly. So it really depends on how the playoffs go.
Yeah, no, it was hard for me to put aside my Orenburg bias, but I did, and I feel like Krylia and Nizhny is too good. Low-key, I've not been a big fan of Orenburg's window either, so I feel like they might be a bit unlucky. Richard, finally, what about you? Who do you think is going to go up from the FNL this season?
I'd love to be controversial and say something different, but I just can't. I think it's probably is going to be Krylia and Nizhny. I just think with Ivan Sergeyev up front, Krylia just a goal scoring machine. He literally just any cross into the box, bang, he'll score with his head. He's just a fox in the box striker. And with him up front, Krylia are going to go up. And I think Nizhny have had a really good window. They bought Jan Sare, I think it was, the Guinean striker who scored a lot of goals in Belarus. Ilya Berkovsky is an excellent signing too, Leo Goglichize. So I think Nizhny's window might just get them the nod over Orenburg and Torpedo. But I mean, either of those two sides could come up through the playoffs. I mean, neither, well, maybe Ufa might survive, but I still think Rotor are vulnerable, I'm still not convinced that they've addressed the striking issues. So I think that's going to be an issue for them, especially when they're low scoring. So maybe Orenburg or Torpedo could beat them in the playoffs, depending on who gets them, of course.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see how it goes, though. FNL, I am going to be keeping an eye out on that as well, because there have been a lot of interesting transfers and stuff. But before we go, Artem Shomurodov scored again this weekend, and he had an interview with Nobel Arstamian that was just published. So as things stand, Shomurodov has 3 goals in the Serie A. Miranchuk has, I want to say, 3 as well. No,
Wait,
he has
what?
more than. Miranchuk has more than 1 goal in the Serie A.
I'm pretty sure he scored 1 in the Champions League, 1 in the Cup, and 1 in the league.
No, he has at least 2 goals.
I'm 99% sure of that.
He has at least 2 goals.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Shomurodov scored. How many does he have? Okay, my bad.
Oh!
My bad. But that's not going to happen in our Geoguessr game. I can promise I'll show up on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Gaich hasn't got a game yet, not even off the bench. Kokorin got like 10 minutes off the bench in his first game and hasn't played since. So it's not looking great for the...
Seriously, Siskar, why didn't they just wait till January and buy, Rondon on loan then and save themselves £8.5 million? It's just €8.5 million.
Yeah,
It's just mind staggering. Why? What were they thinking with that transfer? It's just...
They just got too much money from the sponsorship deals and just, got too comfortable with it. Thought they can just fling it without consequences. And it didn't
A drunken sailor comes to mind, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't really work out too well for them. Real Madrid versus Atlanta is tomorrow. Artem, what do you think Miranchuk will score? Because I think he actually might.
Yeah, I feel like he shows up in these kind of games, and wouldn't be surprised to see him score a hat-trick past that fraud team.
It is. I'm not even going to debate it because I'm not too confident at all. We have 11 outfield players in the entire senior squad available. It's worse than Liverpool's injury crisis. It's
really
honestly
bad,
a mess.
isn't it?
It's really a mess. But thanks a lot for joining us, Richard. It was great having you on. Had a real nice discussion about Russian football, a bit about architecture, a bit about cities. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Absolute pleasure, guys. Anytime.
Yeah, be sure to follow Richard on Twitter as well. That is his handle at RichDPike89. And Artem,
Just
go
want to
on, man.
quickly plug something, guys. Just quickly plug something.
What?
There'll be some future content coming out for Heart of Football soon. I'm going to try and focus. We're going to try and focus on some on this day pieces for the site, and I've just finished the first of these. They're going to be out early April. So I just thought I'd plug that on this day pieces, and they focus on historic games or events on a certain day. There'll be 3 of them coming out beginning of April, just before my birthday on the 7th, actually. But yeah, all 3 of them. So keep an eye on Heart of Football. You won't regret that. There's some cracking content on that site, including some football manager guides I wrote. So please, over the Christmas period, in between my appearances on whatever this is. So please keep your eyes peeled for those.
Yeah, definitely. Richard wrote a lot of nice FM pieces for Heart of Football as well, and we're sure these ones will also be pretty nice. Artem, you want to do the honors this week as well?
Yeah, of course. Why not? So, if you enjoyed this podcast, leave a like on YouTube, gold medal on SportX. Let us know, St. Petersburg or Moscow, which one do you prefer and why? And also, if you do want to watch me destroy Hanu in Geoguessr, just watch out. It'll happen soon. So, talk to you guys later.